Welcome back into another episode of the J Rock Show, first episode of February. I'm your host, Jason J.K. Candell, and after last week, didn't manage to get anybody on. I do have somebody this week. I talked about him at the end of last week's episode. We made it happen. Welcome, Rip Akere, the number 9 prospect in the SimWorld Prep Top 100, according to ESPN. Rip, it's a pleasure to have you on here, my man. How are we doing on this fine Friday afternoon?
JK, doing amazing, man. Pleasure to be here as well, man. A big fan of the show. So definitely excited to, have a conversation.
Oh, me too. I'm just happy to have you on. You're somebody who I've spoken to many times before about your journey in the kitchen, your journey on the basketball court. So let's get started on some SimWorld U action. Let's start with JK's performer or J Rock performer of the week, and you should know who this is, Rip. Trey Turner, that man burner, nearly knocked off Alabama by himself, 36 points. Just we know what he can do as a 3-point shooter. There's a reason he's a projected top 5 pick.
Trey Turner, man, one of the most exciting players that I'm watching right now in SimWorld U. I definitely was a fan of that game. He definitely deserves to be a top 5 pick next year.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and kind of segues right into the next thing I want to talk to you about, and that was that ESPN mock draft released by my man Caden Weiss from this past weekend, where not a lot of movement at the top. It's still Lamarian Sherwood, CKC, and Jamison Johnson as the top 3, but the big storyline that I saw from this mock draft was the lack of Jalen Snow. The fact that a guy can average 24 points per game on efficient shooting numbers and be labeled a shot chucker and be considered not a first-round pick at a premier program, no less, is asinine to me.
That's asinine to me as well. And I definitely think he deserves to be at the very least, a top 5 pick as well. I have no idea what's going on with those rankings.
It's also very early, so we could see a lot change. We're still a couple months away from Hoopsteria, so there could be some guys who can make a name for themselves later in the season. Jalen Snow's as clutch as they come. He knows how to hit that Snow step back. He's got the offensive bag. It's just that
Absolutely. Is he leading? Is he leading UCLA in 3 points made right now?
To my knowledge, he is, and he's shooting over 40% clip from deep.
Yeah.
Insane. Is there anything else that really caught your eye on this mock draft, though, Rip? Is there anyone you thought was too low, too high? Any players you're a big fan of in the SimWorld U game right now?
I'm a huge fan of Lamarian Sherwood. I've had a chance to go and see him up live. I mean, Enzo's kind of got me out to Iowa, taking a look out there. So Lamarian Sherwood, he's a very dominant guy that I'm a big fan of at the next level. Arthur Lattimore is also somebody that I love to watch. Having a chance to play alongside him at the prep level. So he's somebody that I feel like I have a similar game to. So I look to him a lot. Suno Choppa is another one of my favorite players.
Suno had him on the show a couple of weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
He's been fun. I'm just ready to see him flourish. Floyd and Jace could be gone for the Sooners next year, so I'm interested to see how Suno will do in that top option role for Oklahoma that he really hasn't had a chance to be in very much this season.
Yeah, since he was in prep, I think was the last time he was one of those go-to guys. But I think he's definitely going to step up. I mean, he was a tremendous player, and still is a tremendous player. So I think he'll have no trouble stepping into that.
Yeah, guys that really interested me: Tyson Simpson. The fact that he's getting top 15, top 16 buzz after that knee injury, like, in a testament to how he's done recovery. And Lace Darius Outlaw, because there's been some controversy surrounding him during Wednesday night's game where he was mad Deontay Joyce was taking some late shots and didn't sub into the game in crunch time for Memphis in a game they ended up losing? Are we seeing some ego issues here? What is this?
And that's ridiculous. I mean, I think that's got to be ego. I mean, you don't take yourself out of a game in that sort of moment. I mean, this is a guy that is going to be, hopefully a future pro, um, lottery pick type of guy, and that's just something you can't have. You can't have that. I mean, it's not just about you in moments like those. So I think that's a selfish move. I don't think a lot of teams are going to look kindly on that.
There's a difference between this kind of action from Lace Darius Outlaw, who's a top scoring option and actively sabotaging his team by not checking in, compared to a Brian Vaughn, who's just a little bit angry. Both are unprofessional,
Right.
but a very fine line.
Absolutely, and I think this is a little bit bigger to me, because I mean you're pretty much just showing that you don't support the team. I mean, it should be the team first sort of mindset versus I need the ball in my and I get it. I mean, when you work so hard and you feel like you deserve to have the ball in your hands in those moments, but I feel like that's something you handle in house, not on a national stage like that.
Yeah, it's if you're frustrated. Deontay Joyce is a good player. He's a freshman. He's young. He'll get his shots. I just don't understand why a 20 shot per guy is complaining about missing a couple shots around the 2 minute mark. Yeah, he probably should be taking
Yeah.
all those shots, but this is not the time to kind of stand on business in a sense.
Right. No, not at all. No, just win the game first.
Exactly. You're the number 10 team in the country. You're the leader in the American, and you won 4 in a row, and that's how you snap the streak because your ego's too big or your pride's too much to swallow that. I think GMs have to look hard at that.
Absolutely. I mean, watching that game, everyone was confused, on what was going on. I mean, I'm glad the story came out, and I mean, unfortunately, it is what it is. I'm taking. I was hoping it was going to be something else. Not hearing he took himself out of the game, but
Yeah, I'm
he's
with
gonna
you.
have to live with that.
Another big storyline this week is Kentucky lost their second straight game. They were number 1 in the SP rankings last week. Lost to Alabama. I got to be in Lexington for that game. That was a phenomenal experience. And then they lose another one. They go right out there. Ronnie Shanahan hit the dagger on Tuesday night to
My
end
guy.
not only their second straight loss, but their second straight loss at the Rupp Arena, which SEC plays a gauntlet. That's well known. But
Right.
those are games you cannot lose on your home court.
No, those are games you can't lose on your home court. Especially being ranked. Where were they going into that in that second game? Were they still number 1?
No, they're number 6 now, but
Number 6 now. Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't even think they should have gotten the number 1 spot from Duke. Honestly, I still believe that Duke is the best team in the country. I think they got UK got given the spot a little bit prematurely. I mean, we're seeing the results of that.
yeah, I would agree with that. I think it's a serious issue. Like, is there a lot of cause of concern for Kentucky? They've lost 2 in a row at home in SEC play. Yes, Alabama's a good team, but dropping one to Texas A&M, they're really like a middling team. They're going to be near like maybe a 9 seed come Hoopsteria. They're not on Kentucky's level.
And I wouldn't say it's quite time to begin getting concerned, but I think it's a bit we definitely some time to look in and see what's going on so that the streak doesn't continue. But I don't think it's time to start panicking or anything like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't start freaking out if I'm a Kentucky fan, but I'm definitely like keeping an eye on the situation.
Asking some questions, yeah.
You just have to see how things unfold. It's a long season, and you have to trust that team with that talent. But
Absolutely.
there's definitely a reason to be like, okay, is this team the juggernaut people say they are? Talent-wise, yeah, but sometimes things come out on the floor differently. we've seen Kentucky have a lot of early exits in recent years. They went to the Elite Eight last year, but there's a reason Coach Cal isn't coaching there anymore. But will things be any different with Mark Pope?
And I hope so. I mean, he's getting off to uh, a good start. I mean, he's still a relatively young in his tenure there, so I give him some time. But it's definitely some hard shoes to fill. I mean, when you're following a legendary coach like that, but I think he's starting off.
Yeah.
To me, I mean, I don't expect him to be Coach Cal, but I think he's starting off, as good as you can in a job like that.
I really like when schools hire coaches. You see this a lot in the professional level, where programs hire coaches who have played there before, who know what the fan base wants, or
Mm-hmm.
the city wants, or the franchise wants, and it just works out. So I think Mark Pope is the right guy for this Kentucky team. I just think they've kind of got a rough shake of it lately. Glory Tate was really off against Alabama, and they're a great team. Aiden Weaver or not. DJ Childs is great. Levin Cutler, Quincy Henderson. That's a justifiable loss. I think Texas A&M is just another example of an off night, and I think they'll be fine. But I'm definitely worried with given that these aren't road games. I think they'll
Yeah,
get right back on track.
nah,
But
100%.
like you said, I think they'll get right back on track. But there's a reason why people are starting to worry a little bit. It's because it's Kentucky.
Yeah, definitely with those back-to-back losses. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And last thing I really want to get into before I ask some questions about your own journey is, are there any teams that you've started to keep a very heavy eye on come Hoopsteria time where trying to where you think that they have what it takes to go on a little bit of a run?
Well, obviously, I think I'm going to be a bit of a. I'm going to be biased, and go with Texas. I think they can go all the way here, and a lot of my playing alongside guys like Arthur Lattimore. I think I'm definitely rooting for them.
Yeah. I see you rooting for all the Young Bucks, your former Lone Star teammates. Another one that really stands out.
Absolutely.
Illinois stands out to me because they'll be a lower seeded freshman team that's very young, but they've got plenty of talent. I really like that Zay Gore, D'Angelo
Said Illinois.
squad. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think people need to look out, but I want to talk to you, Rip. You're the number 9 prospect in SimWorld Prep. I want to talk to you about your own recruiting journey. What schools have you really been hearing from, and what are you really looking for when it comes to where you want to play, program wise, coach wise, fit wise at the SimWorld level?
We've been getting attention from quite a few schools. Really, there's a few that we kind of have current in mind that make a whole lot of sense. I mean, but we're still keeping our options open. I mean, some of the schools that we're taking a look at right now: Iowa, UCLA, SMU. Just to name a few, but I think mainly what we're looking at the next level is just going somewhere where we can make an impact, especially affect the game in a way that we love to, which is attacking the basket. So I think going to a school that has good floor spacing and an opportunity for us to be able to come in and put some pressure on the rim, find the open guys, and play team ball.
Yeah, not
But
surprised.
definitely.
Not surprised to hear you say SMU. Hearing a lot of love for Cam Jones among you SimWorld Prep cats lately. You're from Texas, or you played your prep ball in Texas. That makes a lot of sense. But how much is location playing a factor for you?
I'm actually, I grew up playing a lot of this game in Texas, but coming all the way to America from Nigeria, I think I'm not really opposed to, if it makes sense, if the program makes sense, I'm not opposed to being able to travel and play SWU. So I think it's really going to ultimately come down to whatever the best fit is. We've got some good relationships with the coaches at the next level, so we're taking all things into consideration before making a decision.
I'm looking forward to see how that ends up for you. Let's kind of back up a little bit. I know you've had quite the journey. I know you're quite the chef. We've spoken about this before, where where you worked in Paris, you backed out of cooking to return to the game. Like, just kind of talk to me about your journey from the court to the kitchen and what made you A, leave the game to start cooking, and B, decide to come back to the game.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, cooking is something that I've done, since a child. I mean, growing up in Nigeria in Lagos. I mean, cooking was a huge part of our heritage. So something that we do at a young age. We learn how to do it. Um, and so it's another passion that I've always had alongside basketball. And going into our first season in prep, I think that's just something that I continue to miss. Just coming all the way to America, I missed just cooking with my family and the feelings that it brought. So it's just something that I missed, and I think it was a little bit of an emotional decision to just kind of leave basketball. We were having a bit of a tough season at Lone Star, so I think a lot of things played into that. But ultimately, I realized that I was put on this earth to play basketball, and I still had that competitive edge to me, and I wanted to prove that I'm still one of the best players in the world. And I had a lot of unfinished business, so that's what kind of brought me back to the states to continue playing this game.
Yeah. And going from Lagos to Houston to Paris and now back to America, you've done so much traveling. Is there a place that just really connected with you most or just stood out to you?
I mean, I love out of the places that I've been in the United States. I would say I love LA. I love New York. It's fun to play in. I got to give it up to Dallas as well. I mean, I grew up playing here in Houston too, so I'll give it to them as well.
Yeah, those are some great picks. And I get that you think that it's really nice hearing you say you think you grew up on to play basketball, or you think you're here to play basketball. But just kind of talk to me about just the coaches you've been around in your journey and what you're looking for in a coach, not only at this SimWorld U level, but the SWBA level as well.
Yeah, definitely looking at a coach that's going to allow me to, really unlock who I am as a player. I think I'm a very versatile player. I bring a lot of things to the table when it comes to, just being able to attack the basket, play on both ends. I think something that gets underrated is my court vision. I can find the open guy. I mean, I know they're going to bring the double team when I have the mismatch down low, and I'm going to find the open person. Um, and also, I'm a dog in the glass. So I think just allowing me to play my full game. There's a lot of coaches that have talked to me about at the next level becoming more of an initiator of the offense. So really just looking to go to a program that's going to, not put me in a box of who they believe I can be as a player and just play my full game. Some of the coaches that I've had some relationships with, though, um, Coach Drayton, Coach Pope, are definitely a few. Coach Drees, absolutely. Coach Simpson, definitely some coaches that have had some influence on me.
Yeah, I totally get that. Coach Drayton, I think he's going to do great at Syracuse. Shout out Coach Drayton. But what how I want to end this episode off is just were your basketball idols growing up? Like, who'd you look up to, and if you could kind of team up with any player ever, can be, I'll say, one college, one pro. Who are you picking and why?
I would say okay. And are we going ever? Or are we going who's in college right now and
Um,
currently in the NBA, currently in the SWA right now?
how about one current, one former for both college and SWBA?
So my current for the SWBA is gonna have to be LeBron James. I mean, he was my favorite player ever, and who I model my game a lot after. So I'm definitely gonna have to go with him for current, and then former. I would say Magic Johnson,
Ooh, Spartan Dog, love it.
and current SWBA player. I will have to go with. Gonna have to go with Arthur Lattimore. Huge fan of him. And then former, let's see, I'm going to go with Zion Williamson.
Really? That would be an athletic duo. That would be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I think that would be special.
Give you guys a good playmaker, and that's Lob City all over again. That's gonna do it.
Showtime.
That's gonna do it for this episode of the J Rock Show. Thank you, Rip. Appreciate you hopping on the show. Hopefully, I'll have you on again sometime closer to the time of your commitment. Would love to have you back on to talk again. You were a great guest, man. But so thank you again for that.
Absolutely, JK. It's all love. Anytime you have me back, I'll be back, man. Sounds good.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And like I said, that's going to do it for this episode. Appreciate you all tuning in. Remember, folks, SimWorld, the only place you can see the game, be the game. Have a great week, everybody.